because it doesn't make sense for you, don't switch to EV.
How the EV industry started.
I think everybody now can sense that there is, and we would tend to think a lot of names will come in our mind.
Hello and welcome everyone. Today is a milestone moment as we are launching the very first episode of the Ecozaar, your ultimate guide to all things electric, innovative and green. I am Tanushri, your host for today, and I couldn't be more thrilled to kickstart this electrifying journey with you. And to make this debut extra special, we have got an inspiring guest. Joining us today is none other than Kartik Gupta, the driving force behind Ecozaar and someone who's at the forefront at shaping the EV revolution. So welcome, Kartik. We are so excited to have you here.
Thanks, Tanuji.
To start us off, we are setting the stage with the incredible story of electric vehicles. So tell us about how the EV industry started and what is the buzzword about EV?
So, Tanuji, I mean, there is a lot of history available around electric vehicles, whether globally or in India. But I think instead of boring the audience, I would like to tell you about the first commercially produced car in India, right? And we would tend to think a lot of names will come in our mind. Probably it is Reva, it is something else. But the first electric car commercially produced was in 1993 by a company called Eddy Controls, and it was called Ladybird, right?
Okay.
And it was of course, it was not a lithium battery car. It was a lead acid battery car. But it came into the Auto Expo, and then they produced some 25-30 vehicles. Because of low sales, the car could not sort of take off, and the production had to be stopped.
Okay.
Right. Now, I could sense a second question in your, because you asked that, where it started and where we are moving. What I could sense was that it is also important to know that why we feel that what the world could not do in 1800s or what India would not do in 1900s, how can we be sure that we are on the right trajectory now, right path now to do it, right? So, we keep talking about sustainability as a word. According to me, the answer lies in the word sustainability itself, right? Sustainable can have many, many meanings, right? In this context, what was there in 1993, what was not there in 1993, rather, which is there today, is that it is a sustainable process or economy where every party involved or every supplier involved makes money in the ecosystem. Till the time, you can keep saying that it is green, it is sustainable, and hence we should buy it. But till the time the product actually makes sense for the consumer, it actually makes sense for the manufacturer, and then also makes sense for the suppliers who are supplying to these manufacturers. Till that time, I don't think any industry can thrive. And I think that is the change which we are seeing now. Today with the government subsidies being there, there is a lot of stimulus being there, local manufacturing is there, a lot of new startups are coming up with new vehicles, etc. I think everybody now can sense that there is economic sense in it, apart from, of course, the customer who's the final buyer.
Okay, so since you said, it has been started, the inception was in early 1800s, but why till now? Despite having the government subsidies or, everybody being in a win-win situation, why is it that, people still are preferring, petrol vehicles over EV? Yet, I know it's changing, but probably...
So I think it's also about awareness, and I think that's what sort of we are also doing today. The second reason is the initial price is a deterrent, right? So when somebody looks at a ICE vehicle, say a TVS Jupiter, which probably will cost you about 1 lakh to come on road, versus probably a TVS iQube, and I'm naming the same OEM so that there is no conflict of interest, but these two vehicles have a 40,000 to 50,000 difference between them, which is the initial price difference. However, probably customers have to also understand is that it's not only about the initial price which the customer is paying, but also what is the total cost of ownership, what is the cost of ownership of that vehicle, right? And the moment customer starts understanding that it is cheaper to probably pay 1,50,000 and drive it for 5 years instead of paying 1 lakh and then ride it on petrol for 5 years, I think we will definitely see mass adoption. We are already seeing it in the scooter category. According to me, we are already at the inflection point on the scooter category. But the moment people also start understanding it in the other categories, whether it is bike or it is car, I think we will see mass adoption there.
Oh, okay. So my second question, like I feel that a lot of people, it's a very mentality thing wherein people are not very environment friendly, right? And unless people don't take it seriously, I see some longevity concern here, right? So how do we plan to change, or any thoughts on the fact that how do we change the psyche of people, like for better mass adoption? And
Yeah, so good question. See, again, what I said, in the first part of my answer is true possibly here. Yes, sustainability is close to all our hearts, especially the new generation. But at the same time, would you, want to make a purchase decision only depending on sustainability as a decision, right? So it has to, as I said, has to make economic sense for you as a consumer, and then only you will take that, leap of faith by saying that, fine, I'm also adding to, the sustainability and the impact side of it, basically. Now, if we compare, say, following up on my answer, which was there for the previous question, if we go to from a total cost of ownership perspective, uh, in the same example of a 1 lakh TVS Jupiter versus a TVS iQube with a 40,000 rupees difference, let's say that a consumer rides about 100 kilometers in a month, right? And versus a consumer who is riding possibly, say, 800 to 1,000 kilometers per month. Now, let's look at the purchase price difference of about 40,000 rupees in between the two models. Petrol will cost, with a 40 average, Jupiter will cost him about 2.5 rupees per kilometer. The EV with a 3 kilowatt battery, you will charge it for 3 units, which means it will cost you about 25 paisa to run per kilometer, right? So you see the difference, 2.5 rupees, 25 paise to run an electric vehicle. Now, if you're riding 100 kilometers, right, then you will actually recover that 40,000 rupees, which you have paid initially, in 16 years.
that's right.
Does it make sense for you to take an electric vehicle if you're going to ride the vehicle for 100 kilometers, which is, go to nearby vegetable market on a Sunday and use that vehicle for that, versus a customer who is riding it for his daily use, which is, say, 600, 800 kilometers, then suddenly you will be able to recover that cost possibly in 1.5, 2 years. And in next 3 years, you will end up saving almost 80,000 rupees just because of the difference of 25 paise versus 2.5 rupees. And the moment customers start understanding this, I think it becomes economic sense for them, apart from, of course, adding sustainability, and adding to the environment. So I think we need to focus on the economic part of it, apart from, of course, driving and always saying, yes, it is sustainable in nature.
Okay. So I think fair enough, going by the unit economic side of things, I think it does make sense. But do we think, or is it safe to say that India is ready with the infra for EV, whether it is two-wheeler or whether it is four-wheeler? But do we think that we are there, the time is now when it comes to the infra part, right?
So I would put it this way, that we are ready in certain parts, right? We are already seeing 3PL players. We are already seeing a lot of Swiggy, Zomato, Zepto deliveries, etc., which are happening on electric vehicles. So as I said, the inflection point possibly is already there for two-wheeler scooters. Is it there for bikes and cars yet? Possibly a little more time is needed, because the infrastructure around charging specifically, also government, helping to set up local manufacturing for batteries, as well as, supporting local suppliers to, whether it is for the battery or for the powertrain of the vehicles. yeah, but apart from that, I think we are getting there, and consumers are realizing that there is money to be made, or there is at least money to be saved. Not just that, B2B players are realizing that they can add to the environment, which is a big agenda for everybody, but not at the cost of their bottom lines, right? So they can still add to the environment and still save money, and save operational cost, etc. around it. So I think, yeah, time is now. We have to sort of continue to add to it, which is always there. But yeah, the time is now for India.
Okay. So one thing I have in the top of my mind is that electric scooter market has been growing rapidly, right? So what are the factors which have been contributing in this increase in demand?
The first thing is the scooter is beautiful, right? I mean, you fall in love with the new design, and it's absolutely great to look at that vehicle. But keeping it aside, there are two, three main reasons. I think one reason is already covered in my other answer, which is they are cheaper if you look at it from a long-term perspective. The second is because of the moving parts. There are very less moving parts in electric scooter, right? It's just about the powertrain, wheels, and the motor and the battery, which is practically running the scooter. Unlike a ICE engine vehicle, which has all possible parts you can think of. Sometimes you have to replace a spark plug. Sometimes you have to go for something else in the engine, etc. So there are lesser moving parts, hence the maintenance cost tends to be low, right? And that is the second reason why in a long run it will turn out to be cheaper. I already told you that 80,000 can be the difference, or can be the money made in 5 years, right? Along with possibly another 20-30,000 on maintenance, you are talking about 1 lakh, 1.1 lakhs in sort of 5-year period. I mean, look at the per capita savings of India. 1.1 lakh is a reasonably good amount to save on a scooter in 5 years, right? So I think these are the reasons which make EV scooters popular. And with the new players entering the market, we are seeing new designs. We definitely feel that very soon most of the scooters sold, at least in India, are going to be electric in nature.
Okay. All right. So I think with this question, I also feel that this the EV vehicle specifically, it is like a Gen Z thing or a millennial thing, right? It's just like how FDs, like people who have been investing in FDs, they have been like people who are of our like parents' generation, or like probably our grandparents or something. So when it comes to EV, and I think the Gen Zs, they have been born with this buzzword, like EV and everything. So, and since they love traveling, right, and the very obvious thing that comes into the mind is the range of the vehicle. So like, for example, if there are some college kids, they want to go to some road trip or something, right? So what according to you is more suitable or convenient for these kids to take on a road trip?
Two questions here, actually, not one. But the first question, I'll go back to my initial statement which I made. Till the time it makes sense, and when we are saying Gen Z, right, you'll be surprised to the fact that it is the most of the sales when you look at any model, or any dealership, is actually not the Gen Z who's buying EV. It is actually the other way around. It is the people who understand the economic sense of that vehicle versus driving ICE engine vehicle, right? I'm not saying that the Gen Z doesn't understand, but only saying that buy it on the sustainability because it is green, because you're Gen Z, that thing is not going to work out. It is an economic decision. It is a purchase decision. We have to look at it as a purchase decision, independent purchase decision, instead of linking it to any one particular segment of people, right? Now, coming to range, yes, range anxiety has been so as to say the top challenge when somebody talks about EV. But I think EVs have come a long way. Gone are the times wherein the published range was 75 kilometers, 80 kilometers, and you used to get 50, 60 kilometers, etc. Now we have higher capacity batteries. We have batteries up to 3.7 kilowatt, giving ranges up to 150 kilometers on a scooter. which is a 150 kilometer, I think, is a good enough range to do anything in a day, right? So the range anxiety, according to me, now more or more is becoming just a word. And over a period of time, with better efficient batteries, we'll have a higher range. In fact, what we are seeing is that OEMs, if you see that they launched, initially they launched a higher capacity battery, but if you see, most of the OEMs have now started launching cheaper versions with a lesser range battery, right? Because everybody is now realizing that a higher range battery probably will cost more, and hence probably the scooter is expensive. But if you are just going to drive in Bangalore, where the average run per month, per day is about, say, 26, 27 kilometers, you really don't need a 150 kilometer battery and pay for it, right? You can just buy a scooter which gives you probably a 85 kilometer real range, and you can still do whatever you want to do, and the TCO also makes sense for you.
Okay. So since the TCO also makes sense, do you think that the rural development and urban development when it comes to EV and the buying patterns and the spending expenditures, like are they aligned, or is there some sort of different trend that you see when it comes to people from these two different TG?
So I think we are seeing a lot of uptake of EVs in in markets like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai. The two tier market is also, is also picking up, but I think there is a lot to be done there. One important thing there is, of course, availability of finance for these vehicles, right? We have seen wherever there is easy finance available, suddenly assets like this take off, right? I'm not saying tier 2, tier 3 cities don't have finance, but yeah, the availability of finance for EV as an asset is still a problem in these locations. And the moment that, as and when that gets sorted, also as and when charging stations are put up, we will definitely see a lot of growth in tier 2, tier 3 cities as well.
Okay. So for anyone who's listening this podcast right now, I would probably, request you to give one biggest piece of advice, whoever is switching from an ICE to an EV. So what would be the three take?
I think I already gave that advice. If you are going to use your vehicle on Sundays to go to the nearest shopping mart and buy vegetables, don't switch to EV, right? Because it doesn't make sense for you. You need to understand what is your kilometer run. And if your kilometer run is anywhere above 400, 500 kilometers, then also probably EV buying is a good decision for you. And it will make a lot of sense in the long run. Of course, if you are the type of a consumer who still would like to, who will still probably ride 100 kilometers only, but you want to add to the environment and Mother Earth, please go ahead and buy it.
Yeah, and one important message for the government, or probably what support you think that EV players or OEMs would need in when it comes to propagating the importance of EV industry.
See, I think government has done a lot, right? And they definitely have to be, their due has to be given to them. Whether it was in the form of FAME subsidies, we had FAME 1, FAME 2, whether it was a large PLI scheme where, manufacturers could set up their own shop and could, add to the production and supplies for related to electric vehicles. They have done enough, right? In fact, my view is, and plus, of course, I'm forgetting the tax breaks. GST is 18%, 5% here on EVs. So there is a definite tax break which is already there. Not to mention that a lot of states are giving RTO subsidies. There is no RTO charge on a EV, right? So government has done enough, but can it sustain? Right, is the question. Can government continue to provide subsidies? Can government continue to provide, RTO lesser charges because there is a loss of revenue, which results in a GST is lesser. There is a loss of revenue there. I think over a period of time, where I see is that direct subsidies will reduce.
Okay.
Right, and we are already seeing that. We, FAME 1, FAME 2, we are already seeing that the subsidies are coming down. Direct subsidies will reduce, but however, indirect stimulus by the government, whether it is towards the schemes, which target or which help the local suppliers to set up a battery manufacturing plant locally in India, or it helps a powertrain manufacturing plant to be set up in India. I think those indirect grants by the government will continue and will continue to help, drive this, EV adoption in the market.
Okay, so speaking of sustainability, because we are trying to be, as a country, we are trying to be more sustainably known country, right? So do you think that the EV waste or the battery waste, how do we adopt to that transition? Because that's very sometimes you hear that probably they are not recyclable or not reusable, right? So if you can throw some light on that.
See, according to me, the second life of the asset, right? Because of the first life of the asset itself, the cycle is still, I would say, in progress for India. We are still seeing about 12.5%, percent of scooters, or say at a larger level, 6.8% of vehicles sold are EVs, right? So we are not there even on the first life cycle of the asset, right? The second life cycle of the asset will only develop once the first life cycle of the asset develops, correct? Now, the second life cycle of the asset, there is a lot to do on the second life of the asset, by the way. I mean, once the battery is of, say, suppose no use for running the vehicle because it cannot attain the speed, it cannot attain the, required charging, etc. Still, that battery can be used for many other commercial purposes because there is still life in that.
Okay.
Right? We would have heard of telecom towers and some other industrial usages, etc. So these batteries can go there and be used till the time that still the life is there. The usable life is there. Post that, of course, comes the issue of then disposing of once the battery is final. According to me, that's not even the second life of the asset. I think, according to me, that's the third life of the asset, which is disposing of after the first life is over and then using it for second life, which is say in a telecom tower, etc., and then going to a third life. Third life is not developed, right? Second is still we are able to see something there. Third, lot of, in fact, manufacturers are coming back with the options of you giving back the battery to them, and they're taking the battery at least from an overall, corporate social responsibility, because the disposal of that battery is, has to be disposed properly, etc. So I would tend to believe that I think manufacturers over a period of time, will come forward and will give a lot of options to not just dispose of, but also usage of this battery as a second asset. And then once the disposal is required, I think manufacturers will be able to take it back and dispose it off properly. Now, to recover 40,000, if the customer is going to drive, say, 800 or 900 kilometers, which is, say, 30 kilometers a day, which is sort of a usual run for a city like Bangalore, he'll be able to recover the cost of that 40,000 which he paid initially in 1.5 years. Next 3.5 years, he's going to make possible another 80,000 savings because of that difference between 2.5 rupees and 25 paise. A customer who's going to ride it for 100 kilometers is going to take about 14 to 16 years to recover his investment or the extra money which he has paid at the start, which is 40,000 rupees.
Correct.
As I said, it's a maths question, maths problem. Would you want to recover your 40,000, not to account, of course, the time value of money? Would you want to recover it in 16 years, possibly in 20 years, accounting for the time value of money? Or would you, if you ride for 900 kilometers or 800 kilometers, would you want to recover in 1.5, 2 years, or even 3 years? So it's a pure mathematical question. The customers have to check about what usage they have, and accordingly see whether it makes sense for them to take a electric vehicle.
Okay. So Kartik, there's a real buzz going on in the market that EVs are getting cheaper, but are they really getting cheaper, or is it that it's just a word?
See, I think it's a viewpoint, but we have a very strong viewpoint here. According to us, I don't think EVs are getting cheaper. According to us, EVs are already cheaper.
Okay.
Because we just explained from a total cost of ownership perspective, it already makes a lot of sense for you. If you are riding a scooter for 600, 800 kilometers, you are saving money than versus scooter. So it is already cheaper. Now, answering the larger point whether the initial price of the scooter is coming down or not. Again, my view there is that it is not coming down, right? Because if you see today, in the scooter price which finally is landing to the consumer, there is a FAME subsidy. There is RTO charges are nil in many states. The GST is lower, right? Because of all these three components, already government is losing revenue. Okay. India is anyways at a 5-6% normal inflation rate. Right. Now, if you do a very basic calculation with normal inflation rate in India, plus these subsidies probably coming down, the RTO charges, of course, government can't keep, RTO nil in states. Today it is 6.8%. Tomorrow, if it becomes 20-30% of the overall sales are EV, then the government would not want to move that revenue. Similarly, on GST also government is losing revenue. So I think as we move forward, while the battery prices may come down because it will become efficient, local manufacturing will start, economies of scale will come in, so batteries will become cheaper. Okay. But will that mean that your 1.5 lakh scooter, the same battery pack with the same range, will come to 1.3 lakhs? I don't think it's going to happen. Inflation will eat it away. The RTO charges will be back. Subsidies will go away. Or OEMs will have to sort of, first absorb those subsidies, even and then of course, the GST etc. Will be back to what it is on the ICE vehicle. So in the short run, in 2 to 3 years, I think EVs prices are here to stay. And so I mean, today is the right time to buy as much as tomorrow the right time.
Okay. So I think because like you said that the EV cost, the total cost is not coming down. So are the financing options getting any better? Because an average middle class person, like, especially coming from a tier 2 or let's say tier 1 city as well, if they're not able to cater, because, you seeing is believing, right? A scooter worth 1.5 lakhs, right? There was a time when Tata Nano was approx, 1.5 lakh, right? So it's all about perception. So do you think that financing option could solve this, the mental block that people have?
Yeah, so let me answer it in two parts. One is there is as much as finance is available for scooters. Is it the same players or all the players also available in EV? I think they are catching up. Uh, we though today also we have a lot of options available. For a EV finance, not so much probably in tier 2, tier 3 cities where again banks and NBFCs are catching up very fast. Then there are players, which are coming with some innovative financing solutions, right? Which are subscription plans, for the customer to sort of try at least, and experience the electric vehicle. And with all these innovative financing options and banks catching up on EV financing as an asset, I think we are almost there.
Okay. All right. So, on that very note, do you think that resale of an electric vehicle will make sense, or is it something that probably it is a customer's headache to solve, or how do you take?
Yeah, I think a lot of people must be hoping that you will ask this question.
Yeah.
See, resale. Let's look at it again from theoretically. Okay, theoretically, there are lesser moving parts. There is no engine. There is no piston. There is nothing. So theoretically, logically, the resale value will be higher for an electric vehicle. Right. Now, as I said, whether the second life of the vehicle, whether that market has developed or not, that's gonna take some time to do, right? Does that mean that your vehicle doesn't have a resale value? Of course, I'm not saying that. But does it have a good resale value? Yes, it is also today. But is it as developed as you having an ICE engine vehicle and you are able to sell it tomorrow versus the problems you may have in selling a EV vehicle, probably they may be a slight difference in terms of you may be able to sell it maybe in a week's time or 2 weeks' time. You'll have to find buyer. You'll have to post it on your home because there are not many players who are sort of selling only EV vehicles, etc. But once that market develops, I think it's logically, as I said, theoretically, the vehicle will command a better resale value. Till then, as I said, that many players in the market are offering some unique subscription solutions, right? Which ensures that you have a already fixed residual value or the second life value of the asset baked into the asset value. So what it means is 1.5 lakhs vehicle. After 3 years, suppose you would have sold it for 75,000, but you are not sure whether you will be able to sell for 75,000. So hence you are saying, I want to pay only for 75,000. So there are solutions in the market available, subscription solutions wherein you can opt for the for 3 years vehicle, pay only for 75,000 because somebody is guaranteeing you 75,000 resale value at the end of 3 years. And if resale value is the concern in your mind, though it should not be, as I said, in the long run, EVs will draw you more money than what your ICE engine vehicle is drawing because of sheer the moving parts. If you have that worry, please opt for one of the subscription plans being offered by many players in the market.
Okay. All right. Since we have spoken about the resale value of batteries of EV vehicles, probably our viewers would also want to know about insurance. Like, are there any better insurance plans or as equivalent to as an ICE vehicle has? Right. So, any startups, companies, or there's buzz in the market wherein
Sure.
this.
So, all insurance companies, traditional insurance companies who are covering insurance for ICE engine also cover insurance for electric vehicles, right? And full totality. A battery damage is covered, battery is covered, your normal variant, your normal accidental damage is covered on the vehicle. So practically every, including, I remember there used to be a lot of buzz about rat bites not being covered. Rat bites are covered, right? In electric vehicles because of course the wiring and the battery and everything is pretty important part of the entire vehicle. It's like practically everything is covered by insurance. The customer doesn't need to at all worry about.
And also the resale value, the resale market of like the spinnies or the OLX of the world or so do you think that any emergence of such industry which are specifically serving the niche resale of EV vehicles, is it something that you see that there's a possibility of emergence?
Yes. I think my first I would like to also answer about what we sort of believe in from a manufacturer point of view, right? So Ola and Ather led this journey in India, right? They came up practically with the first scooters on road, and then the rest of the manufacturers caught up or are catching up, right? Yesterday we saw Honda Activa E getting launched. Some time back we saw Bajaj Chetak coming up with a beautiful EV scooter, right? We saw TVS iQ coming. The same thing will happen even in the second-hand space, right? There is already a market for ICE engine. Either the new players will come, specifically who will work on, electric vehicle, from a buy and sell perspective. Otherwise, the regular ones, see, for them, there's already a business created. It doesn't matter which asset or whether it is electric or a ICE engine asset. According to me, whether it is Beepcart, whether it is DriveX, whether it is Trustera and not, I think all these players, will be more than happy to, they're already doing it in fact, but will be more than happy to do it at a large scale across geographies in India and, facilitate easy buy and sell options for electric vehicles also.
I think, Kartik, this was really informative session that we had. I think our viewers have gotten a fair idea about how the sector has evolved and how it has been evolving, and where exactly from starting from government subsidies to batteries, their life, and the budding players. And that's a wrap for the very first episode of the Eco Scoop. Kartik, it has been a real privilege to have you here for this debut episode. Your insights have truly set the stage for what's to come, and we are so inspired by your passion for driving the EV revolution. So, yeah, thanks again.
Thank you, Ashri.
Yeah. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to this milestone moment. Starting this journey with you has been very electrifying, like I said before. Of course, pun intended. This is just the beginning of many exciting conversations, eye-opening stories, and practical tips about sustainability and innovation. So, if you have enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, share it with a friend, and let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas for future episodes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's fair enough. Thank you.
That's all.
ending में या थोड़ा कट करते हैं ये वाला जो है fair enough वाला वो भी पार्ट करते हैं. Questions covered? Not questions are not covered. I have to check.